Morning guys, hope you're well. So we have the power of speech, free speech, and we also have the power of love and kindness, the power of working on mindfulness. And one of the things that yoga taught me was it was very important to understand that when you go through this world, for every voice that you have, for everything you say, it has a ripple effect. So if you're a person that goes through this world and says to someone that they're not good enough, this is bad, you need to change, and so on and so forth, what you're doing is installing a voice of fear, reminding everything and everyone of the things that are not enough. But in turn, that ripple effect also installs a voice of fear within yourself, because that voice that's coming on the external is a reminder of the unhealed areas in your life. I notice a lot of people within the yoga community, although the practice of yoga, they don't practice the practice of mindfulness, because when you read the comments upon another person's yoga practice, there's judgment for what they wear, for how they do the posture, for what they're speaking about. And one of the things that became ultimately clear to me when I was practicing yoga was it's okay to have negative thoughts. When I first started meditation and mindfulness, I thought it wasn't okay to have negative thoughts, but in fact, every person, even the most happiest person, has negative thoughts. But the mindfulness approach is one that says, okay, I could say that you're not a great person, or you shouldn't wear this, or maybe this needs to change. That voice is in my head, but the voice in my head that is the mindful practitioner says, okay, is that going to solve any problems? Is that going to help anybody? Is that going to resonate with love as it comes out in this world? And when I'm honest and it doesn't, I don't say anything. And when I look at a story and I take it personally, for example, which many of us do, we see all these posts online and we're like, this person's against me, they don't understand my story, but this person's just telling their story. And we take it personally because that's what humans do. But when you become mindful, you look at the post and the person's words and you say, oh, okay, wow, okay, that perspective isn't really ideal for my circumstances or who I am, but I know this person isn't putting it against me out there in the world. I know it's because they've had certain cultural, educational, physical, spiritual experiences that their life has led them to be at this conscious state and to see this. But I know this post is not directed at me because I've never even met the person. And so mindfulness is that practice of, the same, the story when the father asks his son, I'm going to give you a piece of wood. And every time you get angry, instead of hitting someone, you're going to put a nail in the wood until you no longer have to put nails in the wood. And so the young boy is busy knocking nails in the wood, becoming a very good hammerer. Eventually he stops and he comes back to his papa and he says, hey Dad, I don't do it anymore, I don't react with anger. And the dad said, yes, but see all of these holes in this wood, you can never take them out again. That is the impact of your anger. That is also the impact of our words. Once a word is said, we can never take it back. But with mindfulness, what it allows us to do when someone's angry at us, it allows us to see, okay, that person is having a rough day. What they're saying and doing is not great, but I don't need to react back in fear. I need to be compassionate about the situation, because I know I've had times where I've seen red and haven't been able to do that. It allows us to see things we don't resonate in the world, and instead of being like everyone else and cyberbullying and bullying with our words and behaviours, saying, okay, this is part of the world, I don't agree with it and I'm not going to support it, but I'm also not going to hate upon it. I'm just going to go over here and focus on the things that are important to me and that I can spend more love and compassion, and I can also look at to help build a more loving world. So mindfulness is something that allows us to be a person leading with love, to be able to look at every single human in this world and say, okay, we're different. I'm not resonating with what you're doing, but you go ahead and live your life. I'm not going to go and hate on you for it. I don't know your circumstances. I don't know where you came from. I don't know why you're doing the things you're doing, but understand this is your life and not mine, and I don't need to put any more hardship on it by my words or condemning you. Mindfulness also allows us to go and say, okay, I know I can't change that person, or that experience, but what actions can I do now that can make sure that this doesn't happen again? So you can lead forward in a better life. So mindfulness allows us to look at ourselves and see what we can be the change in the world, rather than stop trying to make everyone else change, because we know that we can't change another, we can only change ourselves. Mindfulness is also a way of remembering when we do something inappropriate, that we have the courage and compassion to come back and say, geez, I'm sorry, or this wasn't the ideal reaction I had. I realized that I need to blah, blah, blah. And so you also come back from an area that you have made a mistake on, because we're all full of mistakes, us humans. That is called human nature. Mindfulness allows us to see that that's human nature. So when you go along in this world, when you're practicing you, try not to incorporate your thoughts out loud that will have fear in this world or create fear within you. When you go into the mirror, if you're practicing mindfulness and you see yourself and you start to talk about your crow's feet or your red skin, or your hair is dry, or your wrinkles, your cellulite, your scars, or your weight, instead mindfulness will say, okay, cool, I'm looking forward to working on this because I'm going to improve it, and that's my goal this year, instead of pulling yourself away dagger by dagger. So when I look in this world and I see myself and the practice, what I understand is that there is no perfection. I am full of mistakes. Everyone is full of mistakes. There is no perfect human. There is no perfect way through life. There is not one way through life. And there is not one way someone should look. When I see people in bikinis or underwear, I think of that as normal, because in today's society on the beaches, everyone in bikinis. In today's society too, we still have nomad tribes with women running around with just a skirt and nothing on top, and their children aren't damaged, or the tribes don't say, hey, you're going to damage your children by being half naked. The tribes accept that the body is a tool for life, and they also accept that it has a sensual and sexual side in life as well. But just like animals, they don't go and belittle their friends and mates because of their clothing. No, they only address the behaviors because they know that clothing doesn't make the behavior. So when you go through this world, remember, nothing is ever personal unless you attach to it. And everybody has bad thoughts or non-preferred and positive thoughts, but mindfulness is a way of allowing us to say, okay, let's keep those thoughts to myself. This is my thought pattern. I know I've got some healing to do. I really don't need to speak that out loud or hurt anybody or project fear in the world. And I also need to work on myself. Obviously, I need to find a place of love. I need to stop feeling so inadequate when I see a person doing something I can't do or look in a certain way, and I don't need to hurt them for it. And so mindfulness is about a way of inquiring about your darkness and bringing it to the light. So I hope that helps you to give you understanding, and something that took a long time for me to understand through my yoga practice, but one of the most grateful things I am as I practice yoga is to keep on practicing this mindfulness. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.